Kidu is based in the San Francisco office. He works for the Office of Innovation at UNICEF. And we've asked him to come and talk a little bit about the decision that was made to commit a dedicated presence to San Francisco, specifically as a way to look at finding partners and building relationships inside of that innovation ecosystem. And we've had quite a few colleagues across the UN Innovation Network ask about, whether that's a good idea or not. So take the floor away. We're interested to hear about what life in San Francisco is like and if we should all start to move there.
Okay, so how about I just briefly speak to how our team is set up, especially in San Francisco, what we typically do on a day-to-day basis, and some of the results that we've seen for our team around that, and then maybe you guys could just ask me some pointed questions. Would that work?
Yeah, that's great.
Okay, cool. So our team in innovation, we're kind of spread out. Along with our team in San Francisco, we have a fairly large team in New York, as well as teams in Copenhagen and in Bangkok. And one of the reasons that we've had our team distributed in this way is for two reasons. One of them is just the nature of our work involves working directly with our country offices in exploring challenges, but also trialing some of the solutions that we're looking at. But the second reason is also because a lot of the work we do is partnering externally, both with the private sector and the public sector. And it's really important to be in some of the key markets where they are. Now, specific to San Francisco, one of the reasons that our team set up an office there was just the fast-paced nature of the tech sector, which is largely concentrated in the San Francisco Bay Area. And we wanted to be not only close to some of these companies that we would potentially be working with, but also be part of the discourse that is kind of hard to stay engaged in when you're not in that San Francisco bubble. Our team in San Francisco does two things. One of them is partnerships with the tech sector. So you guys have probably heard of some of our work, whether it be with Google or the Facebooks of the world, but also with smaller companies that are looking for a purpose in some of the innovations that they have been thinking about. The second reason is we're also trying to position UNICEF to be forward thinking on issues and ideas that might seem unusual and at times outrageous for us right now. So, if you think 5 years ago or even earlier before that, just the word data science and artificial intelligence really didn't mean much to our organization. We actually just thought that's something that's a pet project that would really not have much meaning or applicability to the work that UNICEF does. But it was really helpful, having a team that's really close to what's happening in that area, and being able to be in those conversations where we can actually check the pulse of companies that might be interested to find applications of AI in what they call social good. And we were right there to be able to give them some of that context and even see if there's linkages to what we can do together. A really clear example of where that happened was not too long ago during the Zika response in Brazil, where we were able to quickly mobilize some of the key actors within the space of machine learning and big data, such as Facebook or Google, because they were actually interested in helping. And we were able to be that bridge between some of our country offices that were affected by the Zika response and see if we can build something. And as some of you might know, what we designed around that was a platform called Magic Box that we're now starting to adapt for other use cases. But I think this has been really important. But I think just, to your question around whether it's a necessity to have an office or a physical presence in these places to actually have meaningful partnerships and spur innovation? I would say no, just to be really honest. It's helped us, but our team is very small. We're 4 people. We're embedded in a design lab. I don't know if you all have heard of Frog Design, but they were gracious enough to to help us co-locate with them, and we never really intended to get larger than those 4 people. And the reason for that is, at the end of the day, a lot of the work that happens is in country offices, and it's more important that we have our staff um, really trying to find meaningful challenges to present to these companies versus always being part of that bubble. Also, a lot of these companies are not just concentrated in San Francisco anymore. Just thinking about, some of you have been following, Amazon's second headquarter drama. At the end of the day, they end up locating in places like New York, in places like the Washington area, but also in major hubs in Europe. Facebook has been investing a lot in startups in Paris, for example. London is a place that continues to host a lot of key tech companies. So I think what's more important is that there's a team or a group of people within your organizations that have a high enough risk tolerance to actually be trying things and being out there and spending more time externally with these type of companies versus actually having a physical presence there. And I think that could be done these days. So I'll probably stop there and see if anybody has questions, and I'll be happy to answer it.